Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of our van build. So we're getting
We've been outside all day long. Haven't filmed a single thing,
Yeah,
but
but
honestly, there's been a lot of math.
a lot of tinkering, a lot of math. We're figuring out a whole bunch of measurements for some stuff. We'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, just to kind of catch you guys up. So we have been working on this van since November. It's May now. So definitely taking our time with it for sure.
Okay, but that's because we've only got weekends.
Yeah. So I think
technically, we've done 50 days worth.
50 days. We're on day
51.
We're on day 51 of our build for this van. And if you saw our last episode, what have we done in the last episode? Oh yeah, the ceiling. The ceiling was what we did in the last episode, so that's all done now for the most part. And today we are finally getting into actually building furniture. So we're gonna get into our first one here. So yeah, we're gonna get into that today. We're gonna be working on our bench setup here. So we've just kind of spent this morning coming up with a whole bunch of different design ideas and measurements and things of that nature for this bench. The plan for it, kind of a big mess in the van right now, but we had a folding chair to sort of help us gauge sitting heights and depths and all that stuff, and the angle of the lean and all this. And we've cut one piece of wood, which will be the front face of our bench. And yeah, we've also brought in some of our electrical stuff just to sort of line it up, make sure at least our batteries fit in this bottom compartment where this bench is gonna go.
We had an original plan of doing like a stacking system where like Mike would have the batteries on the bottom and then all his other stuff on top, but we've kind of realized now that the bench seat needs to be lower than anticipated because of the cushion. So we've realigned everything.
Yeah, originally our inverter and all this stuff over here, our solar charge controller and all this stuff was gonna be on a second level above all this stuff. But because of our limited height of our bench now that we have kind of actually gone to this point, we don't actually have enough height for any of that to happen. So what I'm gonna do is instead mount a whole bunch of our electrical components on the wall. The batteries will still stay here. We will still cover them up, and there will be another level of just regular storage of other things.
Which I love.
Yeah. Because we were definitely getting kind of worried with where some of our storage is going to be, but I think we have a solid plan now. So yeah, back to our drawing. So we're gonna have our bench seat that runs like this. But we're also hoping to incorporate, sorry for my terrible drawing, but we're also hoping to incorporate at the top of this part of the bench some sort of pull-out system that kind of extends this into a deeper couch or even a bed, as well as hinge upwards so that we can get at the storage underneath. So that's the idea. As of right now, we have just sort of cut out what will actually be this piece here. So this sort of like side part of the bench is going to be what we've got going on here. And yeah, so ignore this line, this is nothing. It's this line there, this line down here, cut. So we're gonna cut that and then we're gonna test fit it, and join us for that.
Hope to God it fits.
Yeah. Just double checking all of our measurements. This is really expensive plywood. It's like $100 a sheet, so you really don't want to mess this up and waste it, because then you're gonna be spending another $100.
Yeah, we already had a little pep talk at the beginning about how we're gonna make a mistake and it's okay, but it'd be nice to save some money.
And
oh yeah, we invested.
Fun thing that we got is we got this track saw attachment for our circular saw, which makes getting these sort of straight cuts extremely easy. So we're gonna get going with that. Alrighty. This is an outline of a chair. Look, it's perfect. You can sit on this right now.
No.
If you were like a two-dimensional person, I guess.
And now the moment of truth. Does it fit, and did we measure correctly? Or was this
all for nothing?
All for nothing and we just wasted $100. Yeah, it looks like a bench from this angle.
That is the start of a bench. Now it's just a matter of if this lean is enough to be comfortable. Because we didn't want to go crazy on like how much this came out, because how much this comes out dictates how much seat room you have and everything, right? So this angle is about 105 degrees, I think. So it's just a little bit past 90 degrees.
Really? I thought it was 100. I thought we stuck to 100.
Okay, it's 100 degrees. So this, if 90 is straight up and down, we are 10 degrees more than that, creating this little bit of a lean. And I mean, yeah, this is kind of step one. Okay, so we're just bringing in some more wood and stuff just to sort of visualize. We also got some of our water components here. So we got our 30-gallon freshwater tank and our water heater, just kind of playing with the spacing of it all and what our hallway will look like. So this will be all like kitchen counters and stuff like that. And then, yeah, this is the bench that we're working on right now that will extend all the way to around here. You can see where that line is. So yeah, just sort of getting a feel for it all, but we're gonna push on. I think what we're gonna do now is start on this side of the bench, which is actually, instead of it being a piece similar to what we cut, it's actually gonna be an entire wall that goes all the way to the ceiling, because we need support for our bed lift system, which will be a later episode, but we need to have a wall on this side and a wall on this side in order to accommodate it. So that's what we're gonna go on next. So to create our wall template, we took a piece of cardboard into the van and pushed it up against the wall. Then we took a ruler and a pencil and used these as spacers to scribe the edge of our wall. Vans are full of complicated curves that are hard to work with, so this was a good way to get all the angles that we needed to create our bench wall. So our plan basically is to now transfer this piece onto our nice plywood, cut it out, and hopefully it fits okay, because
again, this is $100 wood.
Yeah, and this template it's not exact, it's cardboard and hand drawn. So we did our best, but we'll see how it works out. Okay, so just test fitting it here. It's actually not bad. Like, we got the ceiling mostly pretty good, I want to say. It's a little bit too tall right now, which is why it's on an angle, so we got to shave probably a 1/4 inch off the bottom. And also because it's supposed to fit over the wheel well, so we're gonna notch out this little section here so it can kind of sit right here-ish. Check that out. We got our first wall. Okay, everyone. So this is the progress that we made today. We're pretty happy with it all. So we've got the outside enclosure of what our bench, at least this part of the bench, like we said, there's gonna be another part of the bench around here. But this part of the bench, we have the outer shell, mostly good, but we're pretty happy. Like you can see, there's not really any gaps or anything up here, so happy with how that turned out for sure. Definitely a lot of work, learned a lot, but we are going to call it for today and we will get back at this another day. So yeah, basically what we're gonna do next is, you know, start building the other parts of this. We'll catch you guys on the next day that we work on this, but for now we have to clean up our giant mess.
Welcome to day 2 of building our bench.
Hello.
Hello. We have already kind of started today, but again, it all starts with thinking, so that is boring for you guys. So what we thought about was how we were going to build this top piece for our bench. And after like staring at the bench and seeing that, like, obviously the van is all angles again, so it's tapering in to the center.
You can see it very obviously on our windowsill that we've made here, so it's way smaller on the back here and it gets wider again to the front.
So which made this piece look, sorry, not this piece, it made the whole bench look off.
Yeah.
So basically what we're doing is we are going to square up the bench in line with our floor panels, and then everything from the top of our seat back is going to be tapered so that the seat portion, we can box that out and make that square, if that makes any sense.
So yeah, like we said, on our windowsills here, it's smaller and then it gets bigger. So our top piece of the bench, we've basically done the opposite.
Yeah.
It is basically wide on this end and then it gets smaller to keep this sort of like
straight flush line in the front.
Line on the front edge of it.
Because we don't want to be sitting on an angle.
Yeah, otherwise, yeah, if we had just made this just regular, totally square, then the bench would just kind of sit on a weird angle.
Which then would also mean that our seat on this end would be smaller, or this would be smaller
like
than
the whole
this
bench
end.
would taper, essentially, which would be lame. So we only want the very top piece here to taper, and then the rest of it will be square. And then, as you can see on the floor here, it's not. This isn't the finalized position, but we're trying to make the bench essentially square with the floor panels visual. So yeah, it's tough. Nothing in a van is square, so we're doing our best. But I think having this as our tapered top piece will make every other part of the bench regular measurements.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're gonna go with. Yeah. So now we're gonna get working on like the backrest portion, and we're gonna get into the seat portion at some point. So here's the back wall of our bench. This is where we're gonna be mounting a lot of our electrical components, is on this wall here. So yeah, just kind of make sure it was notched in. Fits good. It doesn't look good right now. Nothing is sitting in its right spot, so don't worry about it. This is a good start, and I'm gonna get this screwed into the wall. Okay, so after we got to this point of the bench build, I decided it was a good idea to get pretty much all of our electrical done before proceeding further. I'm just gonna breeze past this in this video since we're focusing on the bench build, but don't worry, because next episode will be a super in-depth dive on all of our electrical, so be on the lookout for that. Okay, cool. Okay, so it's great that everything is working so far. We're really, really happy with how all of this turned out, but we're gonna move on from this now. We are going to start building the bench that's gonna encase and protect all of this, as well as be our main sitting area. So we're gonna get going on that. And yeah, we got some pretty cool plans for this one that we're excited to share, so let's get into it. Okay, so we have started our build of the bench area, and this is kind of in progress, but so it's kind of hard to maybe understand. But essentially what we have going on is this interior piece, which kind of slots in the bench. We're gonna cut like a notch out of this entire front bit. So essentially this thing can slide forward, extending the bench, as well as hinge upward, allowing access to underneath. So got that going. So now we need to build another one of this box that will fit inside of this one, and it'll all make sense once we get to it. But essentially the outer box is the one that hinges and the inner box is the one that slides in and out. So yeah, we're gonna get going with that. Okay, so we got these 500-pound rated drawer slides off Amazon. And so the idea is that this is the outside box. Like we said, we're gonna make an outside box, and then there's gonna be an inner box. The outside box is the one that hinges, and the inner box is the one that pulls in and out. So to make that work, basically these drawer slides will sit on the inside of this box. I have to then like notch this out here and here, so this could sit in here, and then this holds onto the inside box, which will slide in and out. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna notch out, you know, a little bit off.
It's not just a little, it's that plus the 3/4 of the square, remember?
Right, oh yeah.
So it's actually 2 3/4. Okay, so as you guys saw, we did our test hinge of this,
and it worked okay. It's a little tight at the moment. We need to
do some adjustments.
yeah, kind of like round off this edge. And in general, like the entire thing is just a little tight, so we're just gonna take it out and sand off each side just so it fits a little bit, you know, not as snug, and it has a little bit of a gap, like especially here where it touches the wall. Where it hinges right now, it rubs all against this wall. So if we just kind of sand it a little bit, it should have a little enough of a gap so it doesn't touch anymore. But before we get too far into that, we're gonna start building the slats now for this. So basically, to give these two boxes support, we need to make slats that run, you know, across all of it. Front now, right? What we're doing now is we've gone ahead and cut this piece. This is going to function as our backrest on this bench.
Yeah.
But just where we have it set, you can see we drew a line here.
It's a little bit higher.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
needs, we're basically going to redo our top piece and then slice that in half so that that piece is flat.
Yeah.
Because the rest is on an angle.
Yeah, so we have to make this cut. We set up the table saw over there, as you can see, on an angle.
It's our first angled
yeah,
cut.
we've never used a table saw on an angle cut before, so let's give that a go. So it will basically slot up like this. Something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we're basically at the point now where we can kind of screw everything together. So as you can see, there's a little bit of a gap down here. This is so this thing can still do its hinge action and all that.
Yeah.
So we're really happy with how this is turning out. It definitely took a lot of trial and error to get to this point.
But it legitimately looks like a bench now.
Yeah. Alrighty, everybody. So we have finally finished this bench. We actually had to take the entire thing apart again and put on and put on different drawer slides because the ones that we got ended up not being. No, they ended up being too big. That's what it was. They were too long, and we couldn't pull it out and get it to like lock in place. So we had to swap those out. We got new ones in now. Maybe we can give you like a quick demonstration of it. We don't have all this like screwed into the wall yet, which is why we have to do it this sort of weird way where we kind of brace it. But here we go. So it pulls out to there, and see, it locks in place here.
Put your weight on
Put your weight on it. We got these 500-pound drawer slides on it, and then you put it away, and it also hinges up for storage. That turned out great. We are so happy with this. So yeah, guys, I think we are going to call it. Thanks for joining us. You know, we started this episode with building our electrical system, which is all underneath this now and hidden away. And now we have the start of our amazing bench. Like we said, it's gonna, you know, go all the way across there and form this big like L bench to the other side, where there's gonna be a countertop here and stuff. So, but that's the story for this one. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. Hope you guys learned something. We learned so much about all of this.
This was our first, what do you call this?
Piece of furniture?
Piece of furniture. This was our first piece
Yeah.
of furniture.
Yeah.
So I honestly, we went to the deep end.
Yeah.
We were like, let's make the hardest thing.
Yeah, like one that slides and hinges and all this stuff, and
It took us way too long.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, thanks a lot for joining us. My name is Mike.
I'm Dana.
Let's just go travel, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Whoop, whoop.